You think you're free right now? That the choices you're making are your own? Jean-Jacques Rousseau would laugh at that idea. In fact, he dropped a truth bomb that's still rattling us today. Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. But these aren't physical chains we're talking about. They're invisible ones, woven so perfectly into our lives that we don't even notice them anymore. This wasn't just some random thought Rousseau had. This came from watching how society was slowly crushing the human spirit, turning natural freedom into a carefully crafted illusion. But this isn't just about feeling trapped. Rousseau cracked open something much darker. How society itself is the prison we built, decorated, and then forgot was a prison. He's not just critiquing civilization. He's exposing how every institution, from your morning coffee shop to your government, is part of an elaborate system that makes you think you're free while actually controlling you. And the craziest part? We're all willing participants. Think about your morning routine. You wake up to an alarm, not because your body's ready, but because society decided work starts at 9. You grab that coffee from Starbucks thinking you chose it freely. But did you? Or was it because their stores are everywhere, their ads are in your face, and everyone around you does the same? Even that crazy choice you made to quit your job and travel, Rousseau would say that's just another pre-packaged form of rebellion that society sold you. Back in 1762, when Rousseau wrote The Social Contract, he saw something that would blow your mind. The more civilized we became, the less free we actually were. He wasn't talking about some far-off dystopia. He was talking about exactly what's happening right now, in your life, every single day. That phone in your pocket? Rousseau would call it the modern chain, keeping you tethered to social expectations, work demands, and endless distractions, all while making you feel like it's giving you freedom. And here's where it gets really wild. Unlike other philosophers who just complained about society, Rousseau actually showed us how we ended up here. He traced it back to the first person who fenced off a piece of land and said, "This is mine." That moment wasn't just about property. It was the birth of social inequality, the start of comparing ourselves to others, and the beginning of a system where we trade real freedom for the illusion of security. Let me give it to you straight. That manager breathing down your neck about deadlines, those social media likes you're chasing, that pressure to buy a house by 30, these aren't just random stresses. They're modern versions of the exact same chains Rousseau warned us about. We've just gotten so good at decorating these chains with phrases like career advancement, social connection, and life goals that we actually fight to keep them on. Want to know the wildest part? When you feel guilty for taking a day off, anxious about not posting on Instagram, or stressed about not hitting society's milestones, that's not your natural state. That's the prison system working exactly as designed. Rousseau saw this coming centuries ago, and now we're living in a world that proves him right every single day. Let's dive into what Rousseau really meant when he talked about natural freedom, because it's way more intense than you might think. Picture a human being before society got its hands on them. No Instagram, no deadlines, no social pressure. This natural person, according to Rousseau, only cared about two things: staying alive and avoiding pain. That's it. No trying to impress anyone, no grinding for a promotion, no anxiety about what to wear. But here's where things get wild. This natural person Rousseau described wasn't some brute or savage. They had something we've completely lost: genuine self-reliance. They didn't need your approval. They didn't compare themselves to others. And they definitely didn't spend hours scrolling through other people's highlight reels feeling bad about themselves. Now look at us today. We're like those zoo animals that have been in captivity so long they wouldn't survive in the wild. We think we need a specific college degree to be successful. We believe we have to live in certain neighborhoods to be respected. We're convinced we need to post our lives online to stay relevant. But these aren't natural needs. They're artificial ones created by society. The social contract, which Rousseau wrote about, wasn't just some dusty political theory. He was exposing how we traded our natural freedom for what he called civil freedom. And honestly, we got scammed in the deal. Think about property. The moment someone said, "This is mine," they didn't just claim land. They created the first prison cell of society. Now we're all obsessed with owning stuff, thinking it makes us free, when really it's just adding more weight to our chains. And inequality? Rousseau would look at our world and say, "I told you so." The moment we started comparing ourselves to others, started competing for status and resources, we created a system where true freedom became impossible. That guy with the bigger house, that influencer with more followers, that friend with the better job, they're all part of the same system that keeps us running on a hamster wheel, thinking we're getting somewhere when we're really just spinning in place. But here's the real kicker. We've gotten so good at making these chains look pretty that we actually defend them. We call it developing yourself, or building your personal brand, or securing your future. Rousseau would say we're just decorating our prison cells with fancy wallpaper. The natural human didn't need a personal brand. They didn't need a LinkedIn profile. They didn't need to prove their worth through likes and shares. Look at how we raise our kids today. From the moment they're born, we're already planning their path through society's maze. Which preschool will get them ahead? Which activities will look good on their college applications? Which careers will give them status and security? Rousseau would say we're not raising free humans anymore. We're training them to be good prisoners, comfortable in their chains, never questioning the walls we've built around them. You know that feeling when you open Netflix, scroll through thousands of shows for an hour, and end up watching nothing? That's exactly what Rousseau was talking about, but way bigger. We think having endless choices means we're free, but really, we're just drowning in options that were pre-selected for us. Let's talk about your career for a second. Society tells you, you can be anything you want. But look closer. From the moment you start school, you're pushed down specific paths. Want to be an artist? Better have a backup plan. Want to be a philosopher? What about a real job? Even the rebels who say screw it and start their own business end up following a script. Hustle culture, growth hacking, personal branding. It's just another preset path disguised as freedom. Here's something that would make Rousseau lose his mind: social media. We think we're expressing ourselves freely, but we're actually just choosing between filters Instagram gave us, posting at times the algorithm likes, and saying things that won't get us canceled. That blue check mark you're chasing. That's just a modern version of the social approval Rousseau warned us about. We've turned our lives into content, our personalities into brands, and we call this freedom. The real mind bender is how we've made our own surveillance system and called it connectivity. Your phone tracks every step you take, every place you visit, every person you talk to, but instead of fighting it, we're addicted to it. We panic when our battery dies. We feel naked without our phones. Rousseau would say we've not just accepted our chains, we've turned them into status symbols. The latest iPhone isn't just a phone, it's a $1,000 chain we're proud to wear. And let's talk about the ultimate illusion, the idea that working 40+ hours a week to buy things we don't need is freedom. We call it making a living, but Rousseau would call it trading your actual life for artificial needs. You work to pay for a bigger TV, a nicer car, a fancier house. All things that just tie you down more. The more successful you become, the more chains you put on yourself. That promotion you're chasing? Just a prettier cage. But here's the part that would really freak Rousseau out. We've started measuring our self-worth by how well we fit into this system. Got a big house? You're winning. Lots of followers? You matter. Corner office? You've made it. We're not just accepting the chains anymore. We're competing to see who can wear them best. Remember that time you felt guilty for taking a day off to just exist? Or that anxiety when you hadn't checked your emails for a few hours? That's not natural freedom. That's the system running so deep in your brain that you police yourself. You've become your own jailer, and the craziest part is, you probably think that's normal. Let's talk about the biggest show on earth, and you're already starring in it. Rousseau would look at our social media lives today and say we're all just actors who've forgotten we're in a play. Think about your Instagram profile. It's not really you, is it? It's your highlight reel, your carefully curated best life, the person society wants you to be. But this performance goes way deeper than social media. Every morning you put on your work persona like it's a costume. Maybe you're the go-getter at the office, the team player in meetings, or the creative free spirit at your startup. These aren't just roles. They're scripts we've been handed by society. Ever noticed how even the rebels and nonconformists all seem to rebel in exactly the same way? That's because even our rebellion is part of the script. Dating apps are the perfect example of this theater. You're not just being yourself. You're marketing yourself. Height, job title, favorite Netflix shows, all carefully selected to appeal to your target audience. Rousseau would lose it if he saw Tinder. We've turned finding love into a shopping experience, complete with filters and specifications. We're not even meeting naturally anymore. We're auditioning for roles in each other's lives. And let's get real about networking events. Those aren't genuine human interactions. They're performances where everyone's trying to seem successful, interesting, and authentic, which is the biggest performance of all. You're not there to make real connections. You're there to expand your network, build your personal brand, increase your social capital. Rousseau would say we've turned human relationships into a business strategy. The scariest part? We've gotten so good at our roles that we've forgotten we're acting. That LinkedIn profile you spent hours perfecting? That's not you. That's your character in society's play. The funny thing is, we're all afraid to break character. Ever tried being completely honest at a job interview? Or posting a totally unfiltered photo? The system doesn't reward authenticity. It rewards good actors. Here's where it gets really twisted. We've started judging our real selves by how well we perform our fake selves. Low engagement on your posts? Must be doing something wrong. Didn't get enough likes? Better adjust your performance. We're not just prisoners anymore. We're prisoners competing for Best Actor awards. But there's something even more mind-bending. We defend this theater. Try telling someone their job title isn't their identity, or that their social media presence isn't real life. People get angry because the performance has become more comfortable than authenticity. We're like those prisoners in Plato's cave, but instead of shadows on the wall, we're watching each other's Instagram stories and calling it reality. And the whole be yourself movement? Just another act in the play. We're being sold authenticity like it's a product, complete with its own aesthetic, hashtags, and influencers. Real authenticity would terrify most people. It doesn't fit any of society's scripts. Let's hit you with Rousseau's final punch, one that matters more today than ever. He wasn't just saying society bad, nature good. His real message: you can't escape this system completely, but understanding you're in it is the first real taste of freedom you'll ever get. Look, we can't all go live in the woods and forget about society, though I bet your Instagram would blow up if you did. That's not what Rousseau was getting at. His real warning was about awareness, about seeing the invisible chains so you can at least choose which ones you wear. Think about how your phone interrupts every moment of genuine experience. That notification that just buzzed? It's not urgent, but the system trained you to think it is. Here's the part that'll really mess with you. The modern world has taken Rousseau's warnings and turned them into marketing opportunities. Feeling trapped by society? Buy our minimalist lifestyle course. Want to be more authentic? Subscribe to our premium meditation app. They're selling us freedom in monthly installment plans, and we're buying it because we're that desperate to feel free. But there's hope, and this is where Rousseau was brilliant. He knew we couldn't return to that natural state, but he thought we could create something new, a way of living where we choose our chains consciously. Maybe you need that job, but you don't need to make it your whole identity. Maybe you use social media, but you don't let it use you. Maybe you play society's game, but you don't let it play you. The digital age has made Rousseau's warnings eerily prophetic. We're more connected than ever, yet more isolated. We have more freedom of choice than ever, yet feel more trapped. We have more ways to express ourselves than ever, yet feel less authentic. But here's the thing, just knowing this puts you ahead of the game. So what's the real move here? Rousseau would probably say, pick your chains wisely. Build real connections, not just digital ones. Create things because you want to, not for likes. Work for what matters to you, not for what society says should matter. And most importantly, remember that the most dangerous chains are the ones you don't even realize you're wearing. The real freedom? It's not in pretending the system doesn't exist. It's in seeing it clearly and making conscious choices about how you live within it. That's the warning, and that's the hope. Now you see the matrix, what are you going to do about it? Think about everything we've talked about, from those invisible chains we wear like jewelry to the performances we put on daily. Rousseau wasn't just some grumpy philosopher complaining about society. He was giving us a wake-up call that rings louder today than ever before. Look around you right now. Maybe you're watching this on your phone, getting notifications while trying to focus. Maybe you're at work, sneaking in some YouTube between tasks. Maybe you're at home, relaxing, while still thinking about all the things society says you should be doing. This is exactly what Rousseau was warning us about, but on steroids. We've created a world where even our downtime is productive. Our relaxation is optimized and our freedom is just another product to consume. But here's the thing, and this is where Rousseau's message becomes powerful rather than depressing. Awareness changes everything. Once you see these patterns, these chains, these performances for what they are, you can start making real choices. Not the fake choices between different brands or social media platforms, but real choices about how you want to exist in this system. You don't have to burn it all down. You don't have to go live in the woods. You just have to wake up to the reality of your chains. Use that phone, but don't let it use you. Work that job, but don't let it own your soul. Post on social media, but remember it's not real life. That's the real revolution Rousseau was talking about. Not a complete rejection of society, but a conscious way of living within it. Because in the end, that's the ultimate truth Rousseau wanted us to understand. Real freedom isn't about breaking all the chains. It's about choosing your chains carefully, wearing them consciously, and never forgetting they're there. And maybe, just maybe, that's the only kind of freedom we can really have in the modern world.